The number 3 is synonymous with famous AFL footballers, as some of the game's greatest opted to wear number 3 during their prolific careers. Names like Voss, Skilton, Judd, Matthews and Bartel immediately spring to mind when thinking of number 3, but a pair of recent retirees are the ones that Sydney and Hawthorn fans fondly remember. Both Jarrad McVeigh and Jordan Lewis ended their AFL journey at the conclusion of the 2019 season, with the pair featuring in 300 plus games and making multiple appearances on the game's biggest stage. It was a mighty task trying to split the duo when comparing their careers head to head, but after digging through their renowned resumes, there can only be one winner. Despite being drafted a year earlier, Jarrad McVeigh only managed to play 6 more games than Jordan Lewis, with the infamous Hawk miraculously dodging the injury bullet throughout most of his footy journey. During his pro tenure, Lewis was a mainstay in one of the best midfields of the modern era, averaging 25 plus touches on 6 different occasions while at Hawthorn and Melbourne. McVeigh wasn't as much of an accumulator, posting just 1 season with a disposal average north of 25 and owning a career average under 20. The Swan star did spend the latter part of his career playing off the half back line, which hampered his disposal numbers for sure. However, he did manage to chalk up more finals and more goals than his Hawks counterpart. McVeigh does lose out on career Brownlow votes and premierships to Lewis, and although it's tight, I'm giving the former Hawk the slight edge in this category. On the surface, 4 premierships to 1 should make Lewis the clear winner here, but it's not that simple. Playing an integral part in Hawthorn's dominant era helped boost Lewis's resume with a 17-9 win-loss record in the finals compared to McVeigh's 13-15 record. Both players saw their per-game averages dip slightly when the finals rolled around, but you could argue that McVeigh played a more prominent role, captaining the club to 16 finals in his career, which included 3 grand final appearances over a 5-year span. Of course, Sydney was only able to claim 1 premiership, with Lewis's Hawks toppling them in 2014, exacting revenge for their loss to the Swans in 2012. There aren't many captains that can lead their troops to 3 grand final berths, so despite their lack of success on the big stage, I'm rewarding McVeigh for his stellar leadership in the early part of the 2010s. The 2014 Grand Final was the best moment from Jordan Lewis's career. In 2014, Lewis put up easily the best year of his footy career, claiming his only All-Australian nod and winning the Peter Crimmins Medal as Hawthorn's best and fairest. It's no coincidence that the final match of 2014 was probably the best game he ever played too, as Lewis chalked up 37 touches in Hawthorn's 2nd consecutive premiership win. He narrowly lost out on winning the Norm Smith medal for his efforts, with Luke Hodge earning 1 more vote than Lewis for his 35 touches and 2 goals against the Swans. To this day, Simon Black is the only player to have more disposals on Grand Final day than Lewis, and his 2014 performance will be one he looks back on fondly. For McVeigh, the 2012 Grand Final was his shining moment. Sydney's captain managed to play every game in the 2012 season, with his final match of the year one of his shining accomplishments as a footballer. After 30 pivotal disposals in a preliminary final win over Collingwood, McVeigh led his troops into battle against Hawthorn, eager to win the first flag of his career. Sydney's then skipper was yet to taste premiership glory after missing out on selection for Sydney's 2005 triumph and heartbreakingly coming up short the following year against West Coast. He wasn't about to let another opportunity slip through his fingers, and while McVeigh didn't have the greatest statistical game of his career, he did kick a crucial goal at the end of the 3rd quarter, which helped the Swans take momentum into the final frame and eventually claim another premiership. Hawthorn is 4-1 in grand finals during the 21st century, and McVeigh's play in 2012 is a big reason why they don't own a 5-0 record. While captaining your club to a flag is a mighty accomplishment, I can't go past Lewis's 2014 heroics here. Both players will be remembered for their efforts in a pair of grand finals, ironically against one another, but coming close to a Norm Smith winning effort in the middle of the Hawks dynasty makes Lewis an easy pick. Somewhat surprisingly, both McVeigh and Lewis finished their careers without a slew of individual trophies and accolades, with the duo combining for just 3 best and fairest wins and a pair of All-Australian nods. That makes it hard to split the 2 of them, with McVeigh's 2 Bob Skilton medals as Sydney's best and fairest swinging the ledger slightly in his favour. Both players won their respective club honours in their lone All-Australian campaign, with McVeigh named on the half-back flank in 2013 and Lewis honoured with an All-Else spot on the interchange bench in 2014. A quartet of premiership medallions are on Lewis's side, but it's hard to include them as an award, especially when comparing these two as individuals. Further working against him, McVeigh was named on the half-back flank for New South Wales' greatest team of all time last May, and I think that cements McVeigh's win in this category. It's tough to measure the impact and legacy of both players given the fact that they retired so recently. McVeigh carved out a niche as one of the best leaders in the game during his time, as highlighted in the categories above, and only Adam Goodes played more career games for the Swans. Lewis wasn't given as many opportunities at Hawthorn, mainly because of the class of his teammates and the players around him. But he did take his talents to the Demons for the final 55 games of his career. In a short stint at Melbourne, he emerged as an incredible role model for the younger members of the group, contributing greatly to Melbourne's climb up the ladder in 2018, culminating in a preliminary final berth. Both number threes will go down as some of the finest from their generation, but McVeigh's place amongst Sydney folklore makes him stand out from a legacy perspective, in my opinion. Again, it's probably through no fault of Lewis's, who sacrificed his game allowing the likes of Luke Hodge, Brad Sewell and Sam Mitchell, just to name a few, to shine a bit brighter for the greater good of the team. This one came down to the wire, and I can honestly see the case for both Lewis and McVeigh as a winner when stacking their career accomplishments next to one another. During Hawthorn's golden era, Lewis was a key contributor and one of the best players on their roster, but featuring on a team littered with star power made it hard for him to stand out as an individual. He found other ways to shine for the Hawks, playing multiple roles wherever the team needed, as an outside wingman, an inside midfielder, a defensive orientated forward, or even as a third man up in ruck contests. During a 6-year span stretching from 2011 to 2016, Lewis made a name for himself as one of the best extras up in ruck contests, which saw him amass nearly 400 hitouts, going at an average of about 3 a game before the rule was eventually changed. On the other hand, McVeigh won't go down as the greatest statistical player to ever lace him up, but it's hard to imagine the Swans excelling during the past decade without his guidance and leadership. Renowned for his elite endurance running ability and his disposal efficiency, McVeigh transitioned into the leader of Sydney's defence and effectively became an on-field coach in the twilight of his career, leading to him being one of the most revered players of the 21st century. It's a big call for someone with just one All-Australian selection and one premiership medallion to his name, but no one in AFL history has played more games wearing the famous number 3, which is a testament to McVeigh's longevity and his place amongst the game's great leaders. Do you agree with the call? Was Jordan Lewis robbed, or is Jarrad McVeigh the right winner? Make sure you let me know who you think is the better player in the comments section below.